What's wrong? I sick. Mhm. Basically, just stay as far away as you can, just don't go anywhere near anybody. Basically, it's like living my dream. Like, I don't go near people. Right. Like, although I think what we're all finding out, we're all a lot more extroverts than we thought. Right. Well, it's as soon as you tell us you got to stay inside, then all of a sudden, I want to come outside. I want to be free. I think it'd be awesome. Um, I'd be in for it. Like, all right. Yeah, seriously, I'm the same way. Yeah, if I were the one having to fight Mike Tyson, he's got gloves. I got a gun. Like that's just like yeah, and the beat kicked off. Yep. Yeah, and already a little problem there. The Miami Marlins came into Philly, brought all their COVID with them. You know, they all came from the beaches, and apparently were partying in Atlanta, like just before going on their flight. Like, what a bunch of morons! And they come in here, and then they knew they were positive on Sunday and still played the game. Like I mean, I knew the starting pitcher was scratched, and like they said, a couple other guys, but then it was like all of a sudden 12 players and two staff members like tested positive like just before the game. Like, are you serious? Like, and they had a team meeting to decide whether or not they should play, but they didn't let the Phillies know about it, so the Phillies couldn't decide whether or not they wanted to play. And now it's screwed up the whole week in baseball. They're threatening like this could be, man, this could be the unraveling of it all the whole comeback. That's basically saying sports can't happen unless it's in a bubble. Um, And I mean, right now, like hockey apparently tested everybody, and they don't have any positive tests. Basketball, I don't know. Like I know that everybody's being tested. Um, oh shoot, I forgot to add you. Uh, here we are. Whoops, more technical difficulties.
It's okay. You were talking the majority of the time. So, anyways, I heard you the whole time, so I just listened.
Well, thanks. I apologize.
I had sent you a
I'm a lot
message.
better at this hosting thing. Ryan, thanks for the message.
Yeah,
Letting
I
me
sent
know.
you a message on the side like, hey, I know this whole stay 6 feet away thing, but you're taking a little far. You're keeping me out of the video. I was like,
That's right. Yeah, you don't get in this video.
yeah,
You stay off to the side.
Yeah.
Cowboys fans to the side. Eagles fans take center stage. That's right. That's how this goes.
it's all good.
Ryan, thanks for joining us. Ryan, of course, the host of a couple other shows here on the Phillyverse. You know, he and I co-host the Football Smack Talk show on Monday nights at 7:30, and he hosts the broadcast on Tuesday nights with Ryan Finneran on at 8:30. And then, of course, you got us here on Wednesday nights. Then, if wrestling's your thing, tune in Thursday nights at 9 o'clock for a little tables, ladders, and chairs. Yeah, so that's all my hits. That's all I have to get
Because we can edit this to where it starts right when I split screened in, so it's easy.
Yeah, well, just make sure you got the mask there covering the news. I'm going full rebel.
I know. I almost lost, but see, I can already feel COVID right when I take it off. Right there, bam.
Right.
My left nostril got flared up, and I was like, you know what? Put me on the NFL opt-out list. Make me player. How many players we got on the opt-out list? I think right now we got about 30.
Yeah, I've seen a few. Marcus Goodwin for the Eagles. The only Eagle that I know is
the only big name I've seen that like the nation would recognize, not being a fan favorite to anybody. Dante Hightower I think
Right.
he's the only like main player of namesake that.
Well, and what I think you're going to see happen is those that have family members at high risk, like Marcus Goodwin. He's got a young child. His wife had a miscarriage before, so he's just not taking any chances, and I don't blame him, and I don't blame anybody who feels that way. Like this is scary crap. Like, not to get all real with you right here, but this is pretty scary. This is pretty messed up. I mean,
Yeah,
I just want people to stay safe, and yeah, I want to be able to watch sports.
well, I think it's important that we don't. I think some people are like, giving people a hard time who are opting out. I'm like, look, man, this is about your personal body, your family. No one should get made fun of. Like, you play in the league, cool. If you don't, hey, we all get it. You know what I mean? Like, no one should be given a hard time over a choice like this.
Yeah, and I was saying it too about the opt-out process that the Eagles gave for season ticket holders, and I'm sure that was a league-wide thing. I'm sure the Eagles weren't the only ones that doing that. I'm sure they did that across the board.
Yeah.
And I said anybody who were to opt out of their tickets, I also think they shouldn't get a hard time. Don't bust their chops either. They got a lot of people that I chatted with. I opted out for the 2020 season because basically everybody that I tailgate with has opted out.
Right.
And so, to me, it's like, okay, so I'd get to go down to the games. I doubt there would be any kind of tailgating anyway. And so, I'd rather just then save the money and go down in 2021. And especially with my situation, my dad had already paid for our tickets for 2020. And so I was, I'll have to start paying them in 2021. And it was cool. I was able to call up the Eagles, and I wanted to get a chance to talk about this process. I was able to call them up because I had some questions about the opt-out process. And, whether or not because they told us at the time you had until, I think it was like Tuesday or Wednesday, the 15th of July. And, I called up on that Monday and, I was asking, I said, if I opt out, you guys are giving this deadline real early, not knowing what August and September are going to look like.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to be offensive here, but I can already tell you're starting to spread COVID a little bit.
Oh, yeah, no. I work in the general public. I
wanted to put this back on and let everybody know, hey, I won't let Eric affect me on the show.
Well, actually, if you know about
his best effort,
that your mask protects me from you. I have to wear a mask to protect you from me.
Yeah, I'm wearing this to protect myself from all the possible women that you've gotten things from until now.
Well, I mean, that wasn't.
I know you want to make it about COVID, but hey, I'm going all the way here.
Oh boy, we could go down a rabbit hole here.
Yeah. Well, let's not go in any holes. That's how we got here in the first place.
That's how we got.
All right. Anyway, so where are we at here?
So the opt-out program for the NFL. They basically said, well, that was just the first time they were given the option. They wanted to gauge how many people would respond and opt out. And then based on what they get, they will then, if they were given the green light, so they would offer it again at a later date. But now, I mean, it certainly to me sounds like we're not getting fans in the seats. You
mean from an NFL perspective or an Eagles? Yeah. Because so far the Texans have said fans are allowed in the stadium with mask by default. So far. Now,
I just think it's going to be a case where the league is going to say if one team's not allowed to have fans, then nobody is, because then it becomes too much of a home field advantage.
Right.
I feel like, in a lot of states where you guys in Texas had a big resurgence in cases. Florida has become, I think, the epicenter of this whole thing.
They say Florida's the new New York. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny because that's where the NBA put their hub in Florida. They put it's like, hey, let's go right to the center of the whole thing. This will be the safest area. They'll never see it coming.
Yeah. And I think the NCAA president, Mark Emmert, is saying about delaying the college season as well of football.
I heard one rumor, and it's just a rumor that I heard. Like somebody told me, and it was like somebody told him that they was talking about pushing it off to like the spring and playing football in the spring
Yeah.
this year. And I mean, that'd be kind of cool from one sense because that means more months with football.
Yeah.
But man, that would be different, and
Right.
that would make for some sad Saturday mornings for me because my routine is get up, watch college game day, and then spend all day watching college football. And then Sunday watch NFL, and basically that's my weekend is football, and it's fantastic. I don't know why the wife ever argued with that.
I kind of feel like Optimus Prime, like Transformers. Like I got the big gray part of his mask on the front of his face.
I was thinking Sub-Zero.
I just need the diesel engine.
Yeah, I was thinking Sub-Zero from Mortal Kombat.
I do have an all black one. So when I was at the store this weekend, I went ahead and bought like 4. They had a designer package where you got different designs, and they had one with all American flags. And I was like, you know what? I just can't wear that one. And I'm like, anti liberal protest. Something about that makes me feel flamboyantly stupid. I don't know what it is. I'm like, it's like trying too hard.
Well, we get enough of that when you wear the cowboy stuff. So,
yeah, the greatest fans on earth are often going to make other people feel like that. I understand that. Like, and I don't want to create any discomfort or whatnot. It's funny. I want to say it was 2005 when they were talking about the Cowboys during a football game. I think it might have been. No, it was Thanksgiving. It was a Lions-Cowboys game or whoever the Cowboys were playing that Thanksgiving. And one of the, the announcers at the time might have been John Madden when he was still in the booth. He said, America's team, this guy that was eating Thanksgiving with the family's house that I was at, he said, America's team? Nobody asked me? And I always thought that was kind of a funny statement because I'm kind of like, who did determine who America's team? For a while, it seemed like it was the Patriots. It's like, being a patriot of America, the colors. Right. It just seems like there's some kind of declaration that happened somewhere. No one knows about it. And then we all kind of adopt. The 70s. We might not like it, but we adopt that it's been said and it might apply. It's weird.
Hey, I don't blame you. If they had somehow at some point declared the Eagles to be America's team, I'd be out there beating my chest, America's team.
Exactly. And like I said, rivalries have changed a lot. Back when in 1994, 1995, when I lived in the small town that I did where we played football, I remember going to the store, and I've told you a story before. They would take Philadelphia cheese off the shelf when we played the Eagles that week. Like they would remove craft products. I mean, not craft products, but anything that resembled
the Philadelphia cream cheese. Yeah,
stuff like that. And I always thought it was funny. Like I'd never seen anything like that anymore, and I'm not sure why. Like it was a relevant thing to do now, and then eventually stores just said, "No, we're losing money." Like I guess. I just think it was cool.
I'm sure it was just a fun thing to like sort of poke fun at the rivalry at the time, and like somewhere along the line, I do think, and not to again go too far off topic, I feel like America lost its sense of humor.
Yeah,
and it just became all about like either all about the money or all about sensitivity, depending on who you talk to.
Right. It's either you're on one side of the fence. Either you're all about like the social impact of something, or you're all about, I'm going to lose money if I say that. I don't want to lose my advertisement dollars. So you stay away from the truth. We became so sensitive that the truth became muted somewhere.
Right. The truth and even humor. Like humor is not the same as you. Like I still argue that a lot of stand-up comedians, like from the 80s, like 70s, 80s, and 90s, like if they started off now, man, they would not be successful because you can't offend anybody anymore.
Yeah, the funniest joke I've ever heard. This guy one time, he said this line, and I thought it was so funny, and I don't think it'd be said today. This guy walked up to me and he said, "Hey, have you ever watched the Washington Redskins?" Best joke I ever heard. Now it's Washington's or NFL Washington football team. What? What? What has happened?
I heard some great jokes. So like they're acting now WFT instead of they got.
I told you that. Remember, I told you that. Washington football team looks a lot like WTF.
Yeah.
It's true though. I mean, it's we've gone too far. I get sometimes
Washington football team, their worst football team.
Yeah. What is it?
Yeah, that Washington. That's what the WFT stands for.
Yeah.
Worst football team.
You know what it is for me that bothers me about the whole thing? It's like if you couldn't come up with a name, then leave the name as is until you actually are going to make the change. Why is there an interim name? That's so stupid.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about Ryan and I on Monday nights. We said that, my suggestion was you can come out and say, look, we're gonna change the freaking team name. Okay, we got to figure out what it is for 2020. It's going to be the Washington Redskins. We know we think you think it's offensive. We're gonna change it. 2021, there'll be a new name, and you left it at that, or said just lock the guys in a freaking room and come up with a name.
Right.
And then
No
at the
one's
end of the
gonna,
day,
dude, even if
Snyder, you got to write some dude a check who and good on that guy for that lawyer who trademarked a whole bunch of names, figuring the Redskins will be changing their team name. Good on him for doing that. And Snyder goes and finds him, writes him a check, and says, "Let me buy whichever team name he wanted to take."
Yeah, and my deal is I'm sitting here going. So, in one of the seasons, you can look at COVID season two ways. Either this is going to be one of the most forgotten seasons because it's going to feel like a waste of time, or it's going to be like, oh, remember the COVID season of NFL football? But no one's going to go, yeah, but do you remember the Redskins kept their name for another year? No one freaking cares. Like,
right?
If we change it in 2021 when we're actually back in the stadium playing football with fans, that would be the year where we realize, hey, we still have the name. The COVID year, no one really cares what we do and don't do. Everybody knows everything's in flux right now. This year is just kind of just survive it. This is like just survive the year at this point.
Right. I mean, and someday, 5, 6, maybe 10 years from now, it's going to be a joke. Dude, I'm such a hardcore fan. I attended games in 2020.
Dude, I saw a great GIF. It's an NFL guy. And it shows him, it's a GIF, and it's the floating words, bright white. He's got his trash can. You see him grab the word 2020, puts it in the trash can. NFL football season, puts it in the trash can, takes out the curb, dumps it all on the curb instead of leaving the can there, and goes to his next door neighbor, grabs their mailbox out of the ground, and throws it in the trash too. It's just one of those, this year is so screwed, throw everything in it, everything sucks,
Oh, yeah. No, 2020, by far, the worst year ever.
Yeah.
Not only for, because of the COVID, I, of course, had some tragedy. You had some tragedy in your family.
Yeah.
I mean, this year.
Think about it. Our fathers didn't even make it. Our fathers weren't even around long enough to know the impact of what has happened because of this.
No.
They died pre-COVID. And in my world, my dad died of very similar to COVID symptoms. Respiratory, COPD, all the stuff. So we haven't, there's a part of us going, what if some of that, he was an early hit. He took an early hit. He had something he had caught. We don't know. But the point, he screamed, so it doesn't matter now. There's nothing we can do. But the point is that it just goes to show there is a generation that will never know post-COVID. It's like 9/11, right? The people who died before 9/11 never knew a post-9/11 world, It's just it's a weird reality, man.
Well, and it's funny, kids that were born in 2001. I mean, they're now graduating high school.
Yeah,
I have a nephew. You're born during 9/11 and you graduate high school during COVID.
Well, and not only that, I have a nephew who was born a week ago. He was born in a COVID world. The person had my niece had her baby shower online. And basically, you go to the hospital, you have the kid, and you get him back home. You don't sit there. You don't get exposed to anything. You don't sit around the hospital for days on end. It's a very quick process. That kid's always going to be known as born during the year of COVID. You know what I mean? He's going to grow up and go. His mom's going to remind him, oh, you're born during the COVID time. Yeah,
I had a friend who just a couple weeks ago also gave birth, and they were able to stay at the hospital. Nobody was able to go visit.
You had a guy give birth during COVID, man. I mean, that is something people will always remember.
Right? Well, not only did the guy give birth, but
congratulations, Ryan. I hope it worked out. I mean, you're one of a kind, man. You had a baby. Came out of your own body. Can you believe it? Now we can tell women, F you. We know what it's like. Use that shit on us.
Right?
Nice.
That's right. They don't know what it's like when a guy has a common cold. That's close to,
exactly.
It's close to what a guy goes through with a common cold.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
close.
man. I mean, come on. So what's the other topic? I think Russell Wilson may opt out of an extension of his contract. Is that what I read?
I haven't heard anything about
I
that.
still read the paper. I know some people can't handle that, but I read the paper this morning. I could swear there was an article in there about Russell.
Did you disinfect the paper before you read it?
I soaked it in Lysol to the point to where there's all the letters were no longer even on the paper, and I could make up my own stories.
Oh, so that's how you got this Russell Wilson story.
Where is my story? The Seahawks won't make it far. It's Russell Wilson is considering opting out of the season.
Right, I get. Yeah,
there we go, dude. Down to that.
Well, that's huge.
Yeah, they're out of contention without Russell Wilson.
That would be a huge domino to fall. Yeah, because Russell Wilson,
and clearly he'd be the biggest name on the list of people who've opted out.
Yes,
yeah, by far.
Yeah, he would immediately shoot to the top.
Yeah, not only a quarterback, but one of the best quarterbacks in the league, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
a guy who I would put on my short list as potential MVP candidates for 2020.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we talked about quarterback rankings. I can't remember. Russell Wilson didn't get mentioned in our top 5. Where would you have Russell Wilson?
I would have him in that top 5.
You would? Okay.
Yeah. Mahomes, obviously, number 1.
Who's your number 1 quarterback ever, all time?
All time?
We talked about that. But
Joe Montana.
Joe Montana?
It's Joe Montana or Tom Brady. Because to me, if it's not one of those two at the top, if they're not 1 and 2 on your list, I don't feel like
you understand football. Yeah, to me, you don't understand football. Like you're just biased, you hate them, or you never really watched football to begin with. Yeah.
Right. To me, those two are 1 and 2. After that, you can start with Marino's, Elway, Unitas, who I think would be just because of the stories my dad told me, even though I didn't get to watch him play live.
Where would you have Troy Aikman on the all-time quarterback list?
He'd be up there.
Where would you have him at in that list?
He'd be in the top 10.
Yeah, I have him at 8. I'd have him at number 8.
Yeah, I'd have to run down my list real quick. Montana, Brady, 1, 2.
The big conversation going on right now is if Mahomes retired today, would he be a Hall of Famer? And I'm like, no. That's crazy.
He had what? He's had really 2-3 good seasons. I mean, and granted, they've been excellent seasons. But
to me, it's one of those things where if he retired today, we'd go, had he remained in the league, he definitely would have ended up in the Hall of Fame. To me, that's what I'd say.
To me, Terrell Davis was a borderline case for the Hall of Fame. I think just because of how much he did in the short time that he was in the league.
Yeah.
Mahomes would have to do he would have had to have won multiple Super Bowls already.
Yeah. To me, you need 2 Super Bowls under your belt to be a Hall of Famer, and you need to have broken or still carrying some kind of record as a quarterback for your position to be considered for the Hall of Fame. That's my material.
I mean, to me, are you one of the best that's played were you one of the best of your time? Would you be on that list? And you had to have had some modicum of success. I don't think you need to have won the Super Bowl in order to get it. But I mean, you're not going to be one of the best all time, but you're going to you can still be a Hall of Famer just because of but to me, the Hall of Fame is supposed to be for the best of the best.
Yeah.
And
and
I don't know.
I agree with, I think it was
Hall of Fame, not the Hall of Fame.
I can't remember who said it, but someone said too many people. Oh, it's Deion Sanders. I remember Deion Sanders said there are too many people making it into the Hall of Fame now. He's like, dude, we need to tighten that up. This needs to be for the cream of the crop, not for everybody we like during a certain season. And I agree.
Right.
I agree. To me,
you need sustained success.
Yeah, to me, it's you've got to be a part of the greatest teams. You have to be someone who elevated some of the teams to the greatest moments. And you got to be someone who lived and thrived in the greatest moments. It can't be flash in the pan. It can't be like a Trent Dilfer where your defense is so good. Of course, you were going to the Super Bowl.
Right.
Not to knock Trent Dilfer. I think he's a solid quarterback, but he's not a Hall of Famer.
Oh, no. And I think even Trent Dilfer, if he's honest with you, would tell you that he's not a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Look, there are just some guys who, and they have to have done it for a while. You just see him and you watch them and that's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Some guys just have that aura that they're a Hall, Peyton Manning. He's a Hall of Famer. Now he has the numbers to back it up.
Yeah.
And
right now I'm looking at Lamar Jackson and I don't see Hall of Famer. I see a wonderful system and a great head coach with a very talented quarterback making chemistry happen.
And
Mahomes, I'm like, Mahomes took being down against the 49ers and found a way back. Under the biggest game, under the most pressure, to me, that's Hall of Fame activity right there.
Yeah. I always like to say Hall of Famers have Hall of Fame moments.
Yeah.
And like Patrick Mahomes leading the Chiefs back will be if his career progresses the way it feels, the way it looks, that will be one of those moments you say that was a Hall of Fame moment.
Right.
Like, when Joe Montana drove the 49ers down, 90 some yards to win the Super Bowl against the Bengals. That was a Hall of Fame moment. Like Tom Brady, that stupid tuck rule fumble and then leads the Patriots down in the snow to beat the Raiders. That was a Hall of Fame moment. But no, I mean,
Mark Sanchez and the butt fumble, Hall of Fame moment.
Him leading the Patriots down to beat the Rams in the final minutes of the Super Bowl, that was a Hall of Fame moment, and that was early in his career. Like if he'd retired then, he wouldn't have been a Hall of Famer. Just like the argument now, if Mahomes were to retire now, he wouldn't be a Hall of Famer yet.
Yeah, yeah. See, like to me, if Nick Foles would have got another Super Bowl, like leading the Eagles in a Super Bowl, I would consider him for the Hall of Fame. Because
to me, you got to like when we say sustained success. To me, that's more than 2 years.
Okay, let's go with this. Let's quantify sustained. I'm gonna go sustained. Okay, you're right. Not when I think about it that way, I can side with that. I'm gonna go sustained. That needs to be 4 years or more. Because most dynasties are built or die within 4 years.
Yeah, and then there are benchmarks with numbers that you have to reach. So many touchdowns, so many.
Oh, okay. Now you're talking records.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm talking just sustained success.
I'm just saying, like, what you need, like the benchmarks to be a Hall of Famer, the boxes you need to check.
Do you believe to be a Hall of Famer that stats alone aren't enough and you need a Super Bowl, or do you think if your stats are great enough, the Super Bowl is okay not to have?
The Super Bowl makes it easier. Okay. But I do think you can get in on stats alone.
Okay. Because then you have Troy Owens and Dan Marino's without Super Bowls with the stats that are awesome. Yeah. Right. Okay.
But like you gotta if you don't have the Super Bowl, you have to blow me away with the stats. If Marino had let's say a couple thousand less passing yards, but had a Super Bowl, he's a Hall of Famer.
Do you believe Troy Owens belongs in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was a transcendent player. He was game changing.
Yeah.
With his speed and size to be able to do there wasn't a route he couldn't run.
Do you believe that you have to be a class act off the field to be in the Hall of Fame?
No, I don't.
Yeah. I don't either. And that's where I think there's a clash between a lot of people who believe you have to carry yourself and represent the shield still. And I get that. Like, I believe
it's part of it.
We should want that.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't happen, to me, it doesn't negate what you've done while being an active football player.
Right. I think everything, they're all parts of it. They're all boxes you want to check. And so many of those boxes you have to check. Like, if you can't check the Super Bowl champion box, okay, but you can check the total stats number. You can check that number. And then you can check was a leader off the field and did a lot for the community and did a lot to help the shield. Right. You can check that box. I don't think you need every box checked in order to be a Hall of Famer, but it certainly helps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
And
to me, I'd probably play it with a 75-25 breakdown. Like, you can have 25% missing in any one area, either Super Bowl stats, not being a class act, but you need to have the other 75% to be considered to be voted on.
Right. You need to check off the other boxes.
Yeah. So let's say there's 10. You need to at least have 7+ boxes checked. Yeah.
Okay, I'm back. It looks like. All right, I had a moment there where I froze.
Yeah, it was about 5 seconds. Anyways, but yeah, no, I agree with your material on the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
In fact,
So
that's a good name for the
let's
episode.
let's
The
circle
Home
back
Hall of Fame material or not.
to the question of the day for me is.
Did we lose Eric? Says Eric has joined. We're missing Eric. All right. Well, looks like